Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Sportsocology Show. I'm your host, Bill Knudsen. It is Saturday, May 24th, 2014. Don't forget it's Memorial Day weekend, so go out, get your hamburgers, hot dogs, salads, beer, get the grill going. Hopefully the weather is great wherever you are, and have a wonderful weekend. Today I'm going to talk some NBA, a little National Hockey League, a little bit of NFL, and see if anything else comes along that I think of, but those are the three things I'm basically going to concentrate on. Alright, so I'm going to get right into the NBA. The first thing I want to discuss the NBA draft that was a few nights ago. I don't know how the Cavaliers keep winning this thing. They keep getting the number one pick. This is the third time in the last 4 years that they've gotten it, not including, back in 2003 when they did extremely well getting LeBron James. And a few years ago when they got Kyrie Irving, they did well too. But last year getting Anthony Bennett, so far I've been a better NBA player than Anthony Bennett has been, and last I checked, I've never played in the NBA. So they've got the number one pick again, and all the experts have the same three guys at the top of the draft. It's either the kid from France, Embiid, who played at Kansas, Andrew Wiggins, also played at Kansas, or Jabari Parker from Duke. Those are the top three. You can put them, I guess, in any order. Really doesn't matter. But I'm thinking if the Cavaliers don't make a deal and don't trade the number one pick, from everything I've heard, this kid Embiid, I think he's 19 years old, 7 feet tall, really, really good on defense, has a good offensive game. His upside is tremendous from what I understand. So, me personally, if I were the Cavaliers keeping the number one pick, I think I would go with this kid Embiid. They have a couple of young pieces in Cleveland. Of course, they have Kyrie Irving at the guard. So I'm thinking they really don't have, much in the center. I know they have Varejao, but I don't think he's that great. I would probably take a flyer on this kid Embiid from France, because all the experts are saying he's super, super good. So that's probably what I would do. So if you put, Embiid, or even if it is Jabari Parker or Andrew Wiggins, any of those three. Like I said, personally, I'd probably go with Embiid just to have that defensive presence in the middle. But whichever one of the three you go with, I think you're going to be in really good shape, along with Kyrie Irving. And who knows, that may give a guy down in Miami that plays for the Heat some thought about returning next year or opting out after next season and being a free agent. Maybe he would consider coming back to Cleveland if he has, Kyrie Irving, if he's still there. I don't know what his contract situation is off the top of my head, but if you have Kyrie Irving and one of these three studs and a couple of other good pieces that Cleveland seems to have there, you bring LeBron James there, and it's still the Eastern Conference, which is weaker than the West, obviously. LeBron James is going to have his pick. The Knicks, maybe the Bulls, I don't know. Me personally, I think he's going to stay with the Heat. I would love to see him with, the blue and orange and the New York across his chest. That would make me very happy. But the Knicks aren't that good right now, and LeBron's not going to go anywhere where he doesn't think he could win immediately. So I don't think the Knicks are involved in that. But I think Cleveland should do everything they can, get this draft pick with Irving already. If I remember right, they have like $25 million in cap space too, which would be enough to get LeBron in there. And if you get LeBron in there with the other pieces that they have, you might be able to lure, somebody else. Maybe make a trade and bring in a Kevin Love or something like that, and set Cleveland up to be super competitive, because like I said, LeBron's not coming back to Cleveland unless he is positive that he has a chance to win and win immediately, not 3, 4, 5 years down the line. But I think that's what the Cavaliers should do. If, I don't know what kind of deals they might have. They were fielding calls while the GM for the Cavaliers, immediately after they won the draft, he was getting phone calls. So obviously he's going to have plenty of offers because the draft is really good and it's deep. So that's what I would do if I were Cleveland. Make your deal, whatever deal you think is best, to give yourself a chance, the best chance, to get LeBron to come back and see what you can do from there. But we'll see. Obviously the NBA playoffs are going on. The Pacers and the Heat are playing Game 3 down in Miami tonight. Series is tied 1 apiece. And I think, I said before the series started, I know the Pacers have been very inconsistent the last 2 or 3 months. They had a closeout game against Washington on their home floor and lost by 30-something points or something ridiculous like that. But I did say that they were going to step up big against the Heat because the Heat have knocked them out the last 2 years. Last year was very competitive. Pacers had a chance to win that series, and they know it. And they've been waiting for this. And I knew they were going to step up big, and obviously in Game 1 they did. Game 2, Miami came back with the stifling defense and took care of business in Game 2. I think if the Heat want to win this series, I think it's very important that they win not only tonight, but Game 4 as well. Because, if the Pacers get a split here, or, God forbid, for the Heat, win both, well, if the Pacers come to Miami and win both, it's over. The Pacers will win it. But I'm saying a split is much more likely to happen, and that's still a good thing for the Pacers because then it's 2-2. It ends up a best-of-3 series with Game 5 and Game 7 in Indiana. So that would be the Heat giving the Pacers home field advantage, home court, if you will, right back. So I would think it would behoove the Heat, if they want to three-peat, they better win the next 2 games on their home floor and take control of the series. Now I know Paul George is coming back for the Pacers after he had that mild concussion a few nights ago. I'm hearing he's fine and he's going to play tonight. The Pacers have absolutely no chance without Paul George. So he's coming back, so the Pacers will be at full strength, as far as I know, for Game 3 down in Miami tonight. So we'll see how that goes. I think with the Pacers, it seems to go how Roy Hibbert goes. In the playoffs, when Hibbert scores 10 or more, they win. When he doesn't score 10, they lose. He scored, I believe it was 19 points Game 1. Pacers won. He wasn't nearly as good in Game 2. Pacers lost. So I'm rooting for the Heat to three-peat. So obviously I do not want Hibbert to be very good tonight. I hope the Heat figure out a way to, shut him down somewhat. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if having 3 full days off, Dwayne Wade, having trouble saying that for some reason. He scored 50 points in the first 2 games, so he's been really good. He's had 3 full days off to get ready for Game 3. So I think he's a key for Miami. I mean, you expect LeBron to be great, but he's got a lot of pressure on him. He's going to need help from Wade and, a few of the other guys. And I think the Heat should keep the Birdman, Anderson, instead of 15, 17 minutes, maybe 25 to 27 minutes. He's got the energy. He's a big rebounder, big defensive presence. He's going to hustle and do all the diving on the floor. Kind of reminds me of Dennis Rodman. I'm not saying he's at that level, but he kind of reminds me of that. Total 100% effort, diving out of bounds, diving on the floor, bashing bodies for the rebounds. So me personally, I would give Anderson more time. You need that energy, offensive and defensive rebounds. You can alter some shots. Maybe maybe get Hibbert in foul trouble a little bit and get him out of there. I don't know. That's personally what I would do. But I think if the Pacers, like I said, get the split the next 2 games in Miami, then I'm leaning towards the Pacers winning. If the Heat get both 3-1, I would think that the Heat would take care of business after that. I said the Heat in 7 before the series started, which would mean the Heat winning Game 7 in Indiana. I had it a very, very tough series, just like last season's Eastern Conference Finals were. I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to say that it's 7 games, that the Pacers are going to step up and be very competitive right to the end with a slight edge to the Heat. Moving on to the West, the Thunder haven't even shown up in the first 2 games at San Antonio. San Antonio blew the doors off of them, like they've been doing to everybody in the playoffs so far. The Spurs have definitely been the best team in the postseason. They are coming back to Oklahoma City, where Oklahoma City's really tough. They might have the loudest crowd in the NBA. And as I said, I never thought that Serge Ibaka was going to be out for the whole series. I said with the 3 days off between Game 2 and Game 3, coming back to Oklahoma City, that I wouldn't be surprised at all if Ibaka was there. The signs are leaning towards Ibaka playing tomorrow night at home, as I anticipated he would, because they have, they meaning the Thunder, have absolutely no chance of getting back into the series without Serge. I don't think they realized, or anybody really realized, how important he is in the middle, because the Spurs have just been camped out in the middle, scoring at will like nobody was there. The Thunder have no answer for Tony Parker or Duncan or anybody in the paint without Serge Ibaka. They need Serge to come back. Now, I realized 2 years ago that the Spurs won the first 2 games at home, and then the Thunder stormed back and won 4 straight. But the difference was they had, not only did they have Serge Ibaka for all of those games, they also had James Harden, who's, now with the Houston Rockets. But that's a big difference if you have Ibaka and Harden along with the great Durant and Russell Westbrook. Now, they don't have Harden, obviously, and without Ibaka, they have absolutely no chance. But I still think the Thunder, I think they're finished. I think they'll get a game at home, and if it's going to be, it'll probably be tonight. Because of the Spurs, tomorrow night, I should say. They play Sunday night. I think if the Spurs get Game 3 and they're up 3-0, take the broom out. They're going to sweep them. But I think the Thunder have a pretty good chance of winning Game 3 Sunday night. But I still think the Spurs will take them out in 5. Maybe if the Thunder really, really step up, they'll push it to 6. Originally, I think originally I had the Thunder winning in 7. And I don't think it's going to work out that way. I had the Thunder not only, winning this series in 7, but then taking the Heat out in 7 and winning the title. But it's certainly not looking like that pick of mine is going to be very good. But Ibaka is going to be the key, on defense, so they can try and slow down the Spurs a little bit. I think Durant and Westbrook are going to have to average combined 70 or 75 points to have a chance. If they're only getting 40 or 45 from those two, they don't have enough everywhere else. So we'll have to see if Ibaka can alter some shots, get some blocks, get some rebounds, and Durant and Westbrook can, each score in the 30s. I think the Thunder will have a chance at winning Game 3, but overall, I still think they're finished, and the Spurs will take them out. All right, I'm going to move on to a little bit of ranting. I've got a little ranting to do with an issue in the NFL and the National Hockey League. in the National Hockey League with the Canadiens and the Rangers are leading that series 2-1. With Game 4, I believe, is Sunday night in New York. But the other night, the Canadiens' Brandon Prust put a vicious cheap shot hit on Derek Stepan, center for the Rangers. It was way beyond, the puck was long gone past Stepan, and he came up and cheap shotted him, a blindside cheap shot. The referees missed it, so he didn't get penalized. I don't know how they missed that. It was like right near center ice. I don't know how they didn't see that. But I guess all 3 referees were following the puck that was ahead of them. I don't know. But it was a really dirty, illegal, cheap shot. And Stepan for the Rangers got his jaw broken. And he's questionable, I think was the last I heard, for Game 4. And the league came down with a 2-game suspension. Now, 2 games is not much, in my opinion. Now, granted, it is 2 playoff games, and it may be that, the end of the season. If the Rangers win the next 2, the season's over for the Canadiens. But I think you need to send a stronger message than that, because there was absolutely no reason for that hit, and it was dirty, it was illegal, and totally unnecessary. And I think they really need to send messages that are really strong, so guys won't be doing these things. My way of doing it would be, if you put an illegal cheap shot on someone, and just say, for instance, they're going to miss 10 games, or whatever it is, you miss as many games as the guy you cheap shotted missed, and then you serve a penalty after that. So you will sit as many games as the person you injured sits, then you will serve whatever penalty on top of that. So it's possible that Stepan won't miss any games, even though he broke his jaw. I guess they'll wire it and put a face shield on it. I don't know, but it's possible he won't miss any games. Okay, if he's not going to miss any games, make this guy at least miss the rest of the series. Whether it's 2 games, if the Rangers win the next 2, or 3, or the final 4 games, or even the rest of the season. You're out this series and next. That will send a strong message to guys. Yeah, there are not going to be any dirty, illegal, cheap shots tolerated in this league. Because I was watching the game, there was absolutely no reason for that hit. Now, guys get hurt with clean, hard hits. I have no problem with that. You can get checked into the boards legally and break a shoulder or break an ankle or something like that. Legal hits, I don't have an issue with. Those things happen. This shot was totally illegal, totally nasty, and totally unnecessary. And that's what I would do. You're going to sit as long as the guy you injured sits, and then after that you will serve the suspension. I think guys will think not only twice, but 3, 4, 5, 10 times before they deliver some totally unnecessary, illegal cheap shot. But that's just me ranting, and I'm the type of person, grew up in New York City, I say what's on my mind. I respect other people's views and opinions on things, but I also express mine. I have no problem saying that, and that's exactly what I would do. Now, I realize it's probably easier said than done. You have players' associations and, appeals and all of that kind of stuff, but I would make that the rule. If it's an illegal, dirty shot, you sit as long as the person you injured sits, and then you serve a suspension after that. I think that will clean up the game. I love hockey. Grew up in New York, love the Islanders. I love hard-hitting, clean hockey. I don't need any of the cheap shots and all of that stuff. Hard and clean, just like football. But I'm not just saying that for hockey. I'm saying it for football too. If you deliver an illegal blow to the head and the guy gets a concussion and he's going to miss several games, or he misses the rest of the season, well, you're going to sit as long as he does. You had no business doing the cheap shot upside the guy's head. That's not how you tackle. That's not how you play. Nobody taught you to play that way. So you sit as long as he sits, then you serve your suspension. I wish it were that easy. Obviously the game would still be hard and physical and tough, but it would be clean and people wouldn't be doing these kind of things. But that's just me. Hopefully someday something like that will happen. Now, the other thing I want to kind of vent or rant on, if you will, is in the NFL. It's not about the game itself, but Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay got arrested a little while back for DUI, and he had prescription drugs that didn't have his name on it. That's illegal. Those are felonies. DUIs are felonies. You know, he's got illegal controlled substances. He could have gotten 4 felonies against him. Now, the fact that he's a billionaire or however much money, hundreds of millions, billions, I don't know what he has, but the fact that he has all of that money obviously doesn't hurt him. He can get the best lawyers and whatever. I'm thinking that if that happened to me, I would have gotten felony counts and I would have been going to jail. But, you know, I don't care what anybody says. I know the system is not perfect, but we have the best system in the world, and money talks. I mean, people that don't have a lot of money and they get legal aid lawyers or whatever, they can't get these kind of deals. So 4 felonies got talked down to 2 misdemeanors, and he's got the possibility of 60 days in jail, but I just don't see that happening to him. I think he'll end up paying a hefty fine. He may have some probation that he has to do.